next session is going to be with all three of the silver sponsors. I'd like to welcome Danny Thompson, Senior Vice President of Market and Product Strategy at Apex Analytics, Stuart Bincham, Strategic Account Director at Blackline, and Amani Rabbi, Vice President of ICT Markets at Itidas, excuse me. Just before we start the conversation, and Antonio's going to do a great job in looking after you, we're going to see a short video from Itida. And with that, it's over to you, Antonio. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Danny, Stuart, Amani, thank you very much, first of all, for being at our conference, being our sponsors. It's great to have you, and hopefully you had a good experience so far. So, Amani, let me start with you. In a world where talent, we heard it quite a few, right, on stage, you know, how important talent is for a shared services organization, and how important digital capabilities are. What makes Egypt so special? What makes it a destination of choice for many global organizations?
Well, thank you for starting with that, Antonio, first of all, because I believe that talent is going to be the most important resource that globally everybody is going to be looking after in the coming years, in the future. With that being said, the human capital of Egypt is our main asset. With 100 million population, we have the human capital, as I said, is the most important asset. We have 600,000 graduates annually. So this is pumping into the market 600,000 graduates. As well, they are a young population. So 73% of our population is below the age of 40. What takes me now from the talent is what is important is the skills and the talent that the talent acquire. So the skills that we have over 100,000 now in the finance and accounting, the graduates annually. We have roughly 10% of the graduates as well within the IT services. We are the second largest in EMEA in terms of the graduates, and one of the most important factors that we provide as Egypt is the language across all of this. So we have 80% of our working population that has a second language other than Arabic. And we're, as a government, realizing that we have a young population and agile and the digital skills being the most important, as you mentioned, especially after COVID. We have been pumping in a lot of the digital skills and the capacity building programs into the graduates to make sure that we cater for all of this rising demand. And I heard a lot of conversations this morning about agility as well. And just picking up on some of the conversations, we realized that as a country, we're ready from a power infrastructure, IT infrastructure, the amount of money that is paid by the government in the past years has made it very easy for us to acquire and make sure that we avail the digital skills online and so on in the past year as well after the pandemic.
Fantastic. So great ambition, established footprint, and ready for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amani.
Thank you, Tony.
Danny, let me switch over to you. So tell us about Apex Analytics, who you are, and what's your product, and how has your product evolved, maybe more recently in the, I would say, last 2 or 3 years.
Sure, thanks, Antonio. So Apex Analytics is a company that's been around for over 30 years. We started out as an AP recovery audit business, helping large companies identify overpayments, so duplicate payments and other maybe outstanding credits they had missed, et cetera. And just sort of the rule of thumb on that number is we see our clients finding about 2 million in overpayments for every $1 billion in spend that they either prevent using our tools or that we help them recover through recovery audit. And in the last few years, we've turned, on the request of our clients, to more software and helping prevent issues inside their companies and help improve compliance with supplier management software that really specializes in compliant supplier onboarding for suppliers in every region of the world. So applying all of the complex global governmental, tax, banking rules and all of their own complex business rules to their suppliers to ensure compliance, make sure the data is accurate, and to get them onboarded to all of their strategic programs. And to make that work, a lot of new technology has to be brought into play. Not only is it software as a service, online portals, but real-time integration with data providers and governments around the world, natural language processing and other AI technology to help identify anomalies or exceptions, and then integration with the rest of their P2P ecosystem to make sure that the supplier gets a single seamless user experience.
Thank you, great. So embedding the latest of, let's say, AI cognitive technologies into your products and definitely delivering an impact, a tangible impact that is measurable from what I can.
That's right. Making people feel more confident and safe and avoid risk with their supply chains.
Excellent. Thank you, Danny. Let me go to you, Stuart. So Blackline,
yes.
You're working for many global organizations.
Yep.
What makes it unique? Why do global companies choose Blackline?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So a lot of companies come to Blackline because their manual, traditional processes are just not sustainable anymore. And the last 18 months is the test of time for that, where people have to work remotely. Now, Blackline helps those customers move to a more modern accounting by unifying their processes and their data and automating their manual repetitive tasks that are normally left to spreadsheets. And we do that through controls and automation, etc. So, and we've worked with over 3,500 customers plus now, including the likes of Walmart, John Lewis, and Marks and Spencer's. And they all put their trust in Blackline to help close quicker and faster and with complete accuracy.
Yeah, excellent. And I guess one of the questions, and maybe it's both you, Danny, and Stuart. So many organizations make substantial investment in ERP solutions. So how do you integrate? How do you add from what, let's say, out of the box would come from a standard ERP, whether it's an Oracle, an SAP, JD Edwards, you name it, solution? So maybe starting with you, Danny.
Yeah, so all of our clients are using one or more ERPs globally, and they're looking for a single front-end solution for their suppliers to interact with. And so we create certified integration for SAP with a transport, SAP transport that clients can use to automatically integrate with our systems. And for the other systems like Oracle, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, we have standard integration to support real-time integration or batch file integration, depending on what the client wants.
And Danny, when it comes to more specific, let's say, P2P solutions, you know, the Aribas, the Coupa of this world?
Yeah, so it's really important for those systems. Supplier adoption is critical. And so the way we help with those systems is as a supplier is onboarding, we communicate the client's requirements around adoption of those technologies, and then we help facilitate the enrollment of that supplier into the enabling technology. So whether that's Ariba, Coupa, or any other sort of system like that. And so as they're onboarding, they get enrolled in the new system, and then in the future, after they've onboarded, we create a single consolidated dashboard for the end-to-end ecosystem of the client, so the supplier can come in and have one access point to the entire ecosystem that the client has set up for their environment.
Understood. So sits on top, integrated, and as usual with any implementation, change management, driving adoption being critical. Stuart, can I ask you the same question? So you would typically complement some of the functionalities that would come out of the box in ERP solutions.
Yeah, definitely. So we work with many ERP systems. We're data agnostic. So we can extract that data out of the ERP that's normally left to the manual spreadsheets that the accountants have to populate within that balance sheet reconciliation. Blackline automates that process. It complements the ERP system that's in place that will do some of the reconciliation, but it won't do the substantiation in the balance sheet reconciliation, and also give you those controls and those workflows in the journal processes, and give you that audit trail that the auditors require when they come in the end of each month and each quarter to do the audit on the companies.
Great. I think we have time for one last question. Amani, I'd like to go back to you. So you mentioned a lot about, how ready Egypt was, right? How digital savvy people are, but maybe some reflections around the pandemic. How's Egypt, in your experience, organizations that have established shared services in Egypt have responded to, what's been challenging times?
Yeah, I consider the pandemic as a pop-up quiz that came in. So people were either ready, or they had to be prepared, or they needed to get ready. And I believe that we were among the few countries that were already prepared beforehand. And as I said before, with the infrastructure that was pumped into the country for long years before, like the power infrastructure, the IT infrastructure, which made us very resilient and very, in 2 weeks, I've heard organizations get in 2 weeks their people to work from home. So that was very easy for us. I think that the resilience we did actually better in the pandemic here. So we have experienced about 45% growth in the shared services. We have organizations that started in 2020, like PepsiCo. They started their shared services organization in Egypt in 2020, and they're growing now.
During the pandemic.
During the pandemic, yeah. So during the pandemic, this all happened, and it has been capitalizing. And I think it was like a snowball that's now rolling because, as I said, the resilience, we were ready for it. The younger population that we have are very agile, and they were just able to work and mobilize themselves in wherever they just needed to be located.
Okay, so we're out of time. Amani, Danny, and Stuart, thank you very much. Have a great rest of the conference, and I'm looking forward to catching up later with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Bye-bye.
much, Antonio.
Thank you, Antonio.